Blast off.
Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are and whenever you are. Welcome to Creator Toolbox. This is the show that gives you tools for your ServiceNow developer toolbox. And we've got a great one for you today. But first, let's do some introductions, starting with that man right there.
Hi everyone. I am Earl Duque. I am a developer advocate here at ServiceNow. I've been here about 6 months, but before that, I was with higher education for about 5 years. Before that, student affairs, all things colleges, basically. Brett?
Hello, everyone. My name is Brad Tilton. I'm a senior developer advocate with a developer program at ServiceNow. I have been developing on the platform for a while as a customer and a partner, and now an employee. And I'm excited to explore this topic, which is something that I would have liked as a customer like 10 years ago. And I'm glad we've got it now.
That's what I was going to say, same thing. Where was this 15 years ago? But we have new technologies that we can rely upon. My name is Chuck Tomasi, also senior developer advocate at ServiceNow, and been here since mid-2010, was a customer for a couple of years before that. Brad and I started roughly the same time. So if you're looking for some old-timer talk, come find one of us. And without further delay, let's get into our topic. Earl, I believe you're driving today, so lead us.
Sure. So it's funny because you all were saying, "Oh, I wish we had this 10 years ago," about etc. A lot of people had wished this was around 1 year ago or 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a rite of passage, I feel like, for most ServiceNow developers to have to come up with a workaround for this. So what we're talking about today in our San Diego topic is order guide sequencing. We're finally able to, in San Diego, say which order request items and record producers and other things should happen after an order guide is submitted. So we're going to go ahead and jump right in. I'm going to show my screen.
This is one of those rites of passage, like, how do I remind people of approvals that they didn't somehow see the first time around? It's one of those.
Yeah, so in what we're seeing here is I created my own little portal for the Daily Bugle from the Spider-Man universe. So you'll see these are some items that, as an employee, I'll be able to request. So say I, Earl, am a existing employee at the Daily Bugle, and I have the options of getting a new T-shirt, requesting a new camera, new laptop, or getting a new software package. The idea of existing catalog items that are already available for me as an existing employee. But we also have the idea of, if we have a new employee coming in, there's an order guide. This is an order guide compared to the rest are all catalog items. And the order guide has all four of them bundled in together. So we have some catalog items being used by existing employees outside of order guides. We have some catalog items being used exclusively for new employees within the order guide. And then we have catalog items being used for both. So just kind of like a overview, a reminder of what an order guide is for some of you that have never experienced an order guide before. But one of the caveats of this item right here is you can't really do this unless you have a laptop in the first place. And so if I go into this, this instance, I think is in Rome. I believe this is a Rome instance. If I try to go into this portal and I say Peter Parker is becoming a new employee, and I choose all the stuff for them. I made a demo and I actually made options. I don't know why I did.
And they're mandatory.
I know. I could have just made them without variables and it would have been fine. But I added cute pictures. This is a fun Easter egg. These are the actual laptops that were offered as a new employee at ServiceNow. And then here's the software. So if Peter Parker, he needs some photography software. And if I press order now, the previous problem was if when you made an order request like that, and I go into the background and let me refresh this request list and approve it real quick so that we can kick off the flow of all the items.
So this is not using the new feature, right? We're showing
what it looked like before.
Okay. I have an employee for the next demo then.
Yeah, so you'll see here all 4 items were initiated at the same exact time. And so even though this group is now receiving an approval and a task flow, you'll see that t-shirt doesn't have to have there's no approval step because it just goes straight into fulfillment because we already have t-shirts on hand. Everything else has an approval and a task for fulfillment after that. But we have to somehow tell the group that's getting approvals and tasks for software packages that they have to wait until the laptop is done. And so that was kind of our here comes our faces because I'm going to be talking for a little bit. That was our rite of passage, right? Like how do we figure out a way to either delay one item or manipulate the data across items so that it wouldn't do it. And I remember my solution. So this will be a nice little show and tell if we want to do a show and tell. But my solution was I hid a variable on each of these items because it could be used by a existing employee, and I had it hide itself automatically at the very beginning of the form. But then what I did on the order guide was I add a variable that matched the exact same name of that variable and say, is this an order guide? And I automatically set it to true and then hid that variable and then made it cascade to all the other ones. And then because it would see that it was now, something is telling me I'm part of an order guide instead of just a standalone item. I need to do a specific separate workflow and wait for something to happen elsewhere. And that's how I solved it. And I Googled the other night what other people's solutions were. And there's some wild stuff out there. There's stuff like artificially sending blank work notes to make the wait for condition to activate because
oh my, okay,
because you all know that like the wait for condition in old workflow, it didn't do anything if anything outside of the record updated because
Right.
You're gonna nudge it.
Yeah, you have to nudge it. So people were making up scripts to nudge things, but and then on SN Guru there was one about this one was like it was hiding a status. I think it's like hiding a status and makes the start it pushes a start activity to it, and so once it reads that, then it finally moves forward. But did you all have a different way of you solving for this kind of thing?
Earl, you mentioned a hidden variable. I thought eventually we did have a field on a request item that said is part of an order guide or is.
I think it's on the request, right? It tells you what.
That might be what I'm thinking
reference
about.
to the order guide.
Yeah, I've also seen people put like an order field in there, 100, 200, 300, so you could put a number in there, and then the workflow would be smart enough to go, well, is it time to run? Is it not? But yeah, it could get pretty complex with these homemade situations and often involve special tricks in the workflow or scripted. So please tell us there's a better way today. Earl.
So there is now a better way. So I'm going to jump over to a San Diego instance. Looks pretty much the same from here, from the employee's view. But actually, I remember I made sure I didn't actually set it up yet, so I can actually do it now. So it's not set up yet. So let me make sure I go back real quick. So if you want to utilize this new functionality, you need to install one plugin. It is called Order Guide Sequential Fulfillment. There's no licensing tied to it. It automatically activates PAD, Process Automation Designer, when you install it if you don't have it already installed. And then from there, you have the ability to go back to your order guide. So let me go to my order guides.
Seems like that plugin should be activated automatically on new San Diego instances.
Oh, is it?
It feels like it should be. I don't know if it is or not, but
I
it's like,
don't think it
why
is.
wouldn't you?
Here's the Daily Bugle one. And once you activate that or that plugin, even for existing order guides, you don't have to create the order guide from scratch again. You'll see a new UI action up here that says generate sequence.
Woohoo!
This is the one you want to click on, and when you click on it, you'll be able to give it its own name because these processes that you're about to make are reusable, so you can use the same sequence generated for multiple catalog order guides if you have similar order guides that would use the same process. So, modal windows. I'll leave that name as it is and say generate. And as it generates, it's going to load me. It should load me into Process Automation Designer right now.
And away we go.
Oh, look at the cute graphics.
Yeah, I hadn't seen the new pad yet.
All right, so here we are in pad. You'll notice that my 4 items that were attached to my order guide automatically get displayed in lane 1. But from here, we could start divvying it up however we want. So I know for a fact that this fulfill request software package, I'm going to want it in a to happen afterwards. So I can do it one of 2 ways. I can make a new lane and say this lane doesn't activate until after the previous lane is finished, and I can move that there. And then if I say activate this, then that'll happen automatically. That's exactly what I wanted it to do.
Okay,
Or
so hang on. For those who may not be familiar with Process Automation Designer, give us the basic functionality here. Is these are tasks that are lined up in order. I mean, if we do nothing and those 4 were just stacked vertically, it would be exactly like before, right? We'd have 4 parallel tasks in lane 1. Is that
right.
correct?
So I'll backtrack a little bit. So if you are coming into Process Automation Designer for the first time, looking at it like this, then yes, the things that are displayed are the request items that are attached to your order guide, and they
Okay.
display it exactly as how it would execute if you had done nothing with Process Automation Designer. You'll see here that in lane 1, all 4 cards say immediately. So the moment this process activates, as in the order guide is approved, all 4 of these would activate immediately. By me moving this into a lane that I created that says, don't start this lane until the previous lane is completely done, what it would look like is the moment this process is activated, these 3 items would immediately launch, and then it would wait for all 3 to be done. And then lane 2 would activate, and anything that says immediately would activate also.
Which is good, but not optimal, because that laptop may have been done, and then it takes another week to get the T-shirt, and you can't start the software install until all 3 of those are done. Correct?
Correct. So there's different ways you could do it. Within each lane, you could be a little bit more nuanced. You can put another lane and say this lane by itself, and it will happen immediately also. So now we have 2 concurrent lanes happening at the same time. We can even get more complex to that, saying in this single lane, we don't want the camera to come in until actually, we'll say we don't want the camera to come in until the photography software package is installed. So we could say this card won't happen until the previous one.
So just using some simple lane controls, we can control parallel versus serial on these tasks. Okay. I thought there was a way to do it within a lane You could say, hey, this is dependent on the previous one, or this shouldn't happen until the one before.
So it's not showing up.
You got lots of nice lane controls. Don't call your lane Lois. That would
this should
be
have
getting from the
showed up.
DC universe.
So what I just configured, which isn't I was expecting it to show up right below it once I saved it, but you can add a run condition for this card specifically, and you'll see if I edit this, it'll say fulfill new laptop state is complete, which I think is the right one for this one because it's a rhythm. Yeah, so it's complete. And so this card won't run any at all until this card itself is complete.
Okay.
You could do it that way, or if I get rid of this, because this is a good way to do multiple run conditions across multiple places. I can leave that blank, but I can also just say from here after previous. So
even better.
There. So now
Mia had a question. Do the lane labels matter, or do they show up anywhere?
The lane labels do matter if you are expecting to look at this process outside of your order guide. So it's interesting because Process Automation Designer has a slew of use cases when you use it by itself.
Yeah.
And then, but for the sake of order guide specifically, there's different interesting things that happen with it from here. So because each of these request items have its own flow and have their own stages, those stages are what shows up on the user's request item or on their request screen when they make a request. And so your existing stages are more important in this situation. I don't believe lanes show up on the service portal when the user submits a request for it. It's more for us dividing it up ourselves. So you can name it anything internally for that. Outside of that, in a regular Process Automation Designer, the lane names do show up when you do when you're creating when you're working through processes inside of its own interface, or when you're looking up the process execution on the core UI side. So it's kind of a yes and no question.
In playbooks on workspaces.
Sorry, say that again?
I thought they also show up in playbooks when you look at them in workspaces.
Yeah, so they show up in almost everywhere else besides on the requesting. But because this is kind of like they saw, I think when Process Automation Designer came out, it was the idea of like, oh, order guide sequencing is not just like 100, 200, 300, 400 anymore. We can use PAD to make it ultra complex, so you can literally make it any order you want it because there's so many different ways to order things in here with edit condition, after previous, lanes, etc. And so this is a specific way to see PAD in order guide. But if you want to see past episodes, I think I actually did a few of the PAD stuff in the past when we played with playbooks and record producers and playbooks and stuff like that. Because the fun part about this, now that it's in PAD, we can actually make this a very, very complex process and start adding existing stuff from PAD. So record creators, different user
email. Yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff in here.
Fulfillment stuff on the agent side. Not auto searching knowledge articles to display to certain people, stuff like that. There's a lot of cool stuff that you can get used to here. But if all you're trying to do is set a specific order for your order guide, this is all you have to do. And so actually, I'm pretty happy with how this is going. I'm going to go ahead and say activate.
We got another question. So dragging to the lane doesn't immediately imply order. You also need to select the when to start as well.
That's a yes and no. So whenever you create a new lane, it automatically defaults to after previous. So if you never touch anything, it will be a sequential. It will be sequential. But when I added lane 3, I changed it to immediately.
So does that mean
lanes are going to activate immediately?
Lane 1 and 3 will activate immediately in this case?
That's correct.
Okay.
And then lane 2 is waiting for lane 1 to finish. And then this card is waiting for this card to finish.
So it's pretty flexible without doing a whole lot of work.
That's right.
This is a really cool pad use case.
It is.
I'm a fan. I like when, our service catalog team uses one of our tools to make life easier for their customers. It's pretty neat.
Sort of like the what was it? The stashing all of a sudden started using the update set batches.
Mm, yeah.
Let's put these two peanut butter and jelly things together.
All right, so now I'm submitting the order guide, and we're going to go take a look at it in the back end.
I still love that you have so many required fields on that.
I had fun making the guide. Apparently, this is the first time I requested it. Oh yeah, I'm clicking on the StreamYard link and screen instead.
We had another question about reusing the lanes with other order guides. It felt pretty specific to a specific order guide. Is that right, or can you reuse the same playbook?
You can use the same pad playbook. What do they call it? The sequence. There's a field on there, and you say, "Hey, just go use an existing one. If it matches, why recreate it?"
So if I go back to my order guide,
the sequencing process field got filled in, but you can go and change that.
Yeah. So if you know the processes are very similar, you can reuse the pad. If it has a mismatch of request items, I'd actually be interested to know what happens when it tries to execute.
I do take umbrage to that icon next to the sequencing process. That one, it looks like a warning. That's just how you go back to play the process automation designer.
That's just how it reloads pad. To get back to that screen, you just click on this one.
Yep.
All right, so let's. I'm gonna go ahead and take a look here, and so you'll see 2 of our items executed right away as we expected it, and the other 2 are waiting for the next one, or for the original one. And I could probably demonstrate that by.
I thought you were going to hire Jimmy Olsen away from the Daily Planet.
I try to make it accessible, but not get too into the weeds with the actual lore, so I don't lose too many people.
Come on, these are generally nerds. I'm relying on some basic comic knowledge here, or movie knowledge.
So I'm just completing this. I probably could have just complete the actual request item, but I like making things difficult for myself.
We gotta talk to you about your demo skills if you ever want to be a solution consultant.
Hey, I think my demo is working perfectly fine. Thank you very much.
It's working better than most. I'll give you credit. As far as developer program videos, your demos go, this is a good one.
All right, so now I run into my first interesting thing. Why didn't they activate the next part? I'm wondering if it's tied to. It shouldn't be tied to this one.
Uh-oh. It's because we're out of medium t-shirts right now. Well, the t-shirt is running and the other 2 are not. Let's go back and check.
That makes sense, right? Wasn't the laptop
that's meant
first, and then the t-shirt runs at the same time as the laptop?
Yeah, the t-shirt was right under it. If we go back and look at
I thought the t-shirt was on the right. On line
this
3.
should kick off the other 2.
Yeah, new camera was supposed to kick off. All right.
Uh-oh.
This worked in demo, I promise.
Now we're talking. This is the way it always goes. Worked a half hour ago.
Yeah, so we can't do workflow context. Let's go check the pad. I mean, I'm taking it as a win that the other 2 items didn't start. So there's that.
So there's the t-shirt.
So lane 2, what does it say about when it starts after previous?
Which should have been right after the laptop. It should have kicked off the software.
Yeah,
Could
I
lane
even
3 be messing it up?
I even completed lane 3 just to check.
Yeah.
It didn't work. It didn't go through. It's not started yet. I wonder if I need to attach actual conditions to it instead of just by previously, but that's not what I expected it to do.
You started with a non-trivial case.
I pressed activate, right?
press activate
It
before.
doesn't imply that you did. If activate is lit up, why is it lit up if you already did?
This is just jargon to me right now. I'm not going to go through it on air.
Click the activate button again just to see what happens.
All right, let's resubmit it, see what happens.
Okay. Yeah. Now we'll hire Jimmy Olsen. Kurt is saying the activate button should go gray when you click it. So that's what we saw.
Yeah, I believe I did that the first time, though.
Maybe it's because we reopened it.
All right, and I have too many tabs open. I'm going to simplify it. All right, so here we have the same situation, t-shirt and laptop is activated. Yep. So I'm going to go ahead and close complete these.
Okay. T-shirt was in lane 3, right?
Yeah, so t-shirt shouldn't have done anything. So let's just see what happens.
What's the stage on that one you just completed?
It says fulfillment.
Should the stage be complete before it's considered complete? You changed the state. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Okay, so the stage is controlled by this.
Did you close the task?
No, not yet. Because I believe closing the request item state was supposed to work too.
Now we're having fun.
It's been so long since I've done a lot of catalog stuff, but I remember the stage on the request being important when it comes to...
you know what? If that's the case, then that's the reason. Because these flows, since I made them all from scratch, I didn't put a complete stage. It just has the approval and the fulfillment stages.
Ah.
You know why I didn't do it? Because it's been a really long time since I've done catalog stuff.
Me too. Let's see if we can... you could run a quick script to complete it or something. See if it works.
We've got a another question in here. Where'd it go? What is the difference?
I can just update them too.
We've got, what is the advantage of the new order guide sequencing versus the service catalog order guide?
I don't think they're different tools. Order guide sequencing is just a new feature that's been added to order guides.
That's what I would say too. Order guides have always been there, and this takes advantage of the order guides. It's layered on top. It's a feature that assists you in ordering, no pun intended, but ordering the order guide, the items in the order guide.
I just want to check this again. Make sure it's... So I'm approving the laptop. I'm going to close out the task.
Yeah, because the stage, I think, does switch to like work in progress or something, right?
We'll fix it now.
Oh, the rhythm is never actually closing, even though the flow finished.
Yeah, I think you have to. I think the flow has to do that.
Well, this is a good time for me to learn what are you talking about.
That would make sense.
So I just have these two steps on that part. It needs an actual. Oh, you need to update the actual record to be closed.
Yeah.
I thought that was a background flow. Oh, like a business rule that does that. Oh, I come from customers, so I'm used to whatever customizations we might have already had. So I think we had a customization to auto.
And then Brad, you're saying we should dump another stage in there as well, right?
I think.
Yeah, I think you need maybe an update record that closes it, that has completed as its stage or something like that.
Well, you can put the stage right. See how the yellow waiting for approval, and you could add the stage there too. Look, kids, we haven't written any code yet. Ooh, he just adds a new stage.
I think it's completed.
Well, I didn't have an existing stage to choose from.
Yeah, but I think that may matter.
There's some background logic somewhere.
Well, I'm saying all this stuff. It has been quite a while since I've done catalog work, but I just remember stage being the thing that drives everything. Let's see.
So you're saying if I push the stage to complete it, it should work? Oh, there, look, it worked. So all I had to do is close the state of the rhythm. So this adding this step of changing the state to close complete is enough for the pad to know what to do. There you go. Everything's solved. Everything works. I'm a genius. Don't worry about it. Yeah. So now that the new laptop request item is in close complete, then pad new to go to the next lane, which is the request software package. So if this is approved and fulfilled, then the new camera should exist now too. So I'm going to demonstrate that real quick, just so that I don't go insane. So that is approved. There's the catalog task. Close that. And then I'm going to just manually close the rhythm, and it should activate the next card. Ta-da! There it is.
Yay!
Everyone drink. Oh, wait, wrong show.
Well, we got water. It's National Hydrate Day.
Well, is there any other questions? Because that's pretty much showing how pad works into it. So I want to remind everybody, all of the hiccups that happened at the end there was because of my own stupidity. So nothing. Pad was working exactly as expected to do it. And
is there a graphic view of the pad in progress?
It is if you view it in.
I think you have to see the playbook.
Yeah, the playbook. You would have to look it up in the playbook, which I'm not confident in showing that on screen right now to see what it looks like.
So yeah, would we have to do that in like a workspace? Having added playbook in a workspace? Yeah.
They said, can you circle back to how lane 2 was waiting on lane 1 and 3 when the first card said immediately in lane 2? Maybe I missed something. So it was a lane setting as opposed to a card setting. You could set either.
Yeah, the cards are set within the lane. So I think if a card says immediately, it's still going to wait on whether the lane activates.
Yep.
Then once the lane activates, the card goes.
So look at the first card in lane 2, and then look at the lane 2 settings.
Yeah. So
actually, walk through them lane by lane, and then
lane by lane, card by card. So in the first lane, we have immediately. So this lane starts immediately when the process happens.
And that's the lane properties, not the card properties.
That's correct.
It's hard
Right.
because it like immediately looks the same as when the card says immediately. But right now, like if you change when to start from immediately to something else and save and close, like the immediately on the card doesn't change, right?
Right. It would be helpful to think that there should be another like
Yeah.
status right here that says immediately. This one says after previous, and then this one says immediately.
Wait, what are the choices on lane 1? How could you start after previous on lane 1? That shouldn't even be a thing.
It shouldn't. Anyways, yeah, so lane 1 is immediately, lane 2 says after previous, and lane 3 is also immediately. And so just by lanes, when this activates, lane 1 and 3 should activate immediately when the request is submitted. In lane 2, since this is after previous, it waits for all of these to close complete. Or complete? Yeah, complete. And then lane 2 gets activated because it's after previous. And so the cards that are listed as immediately are then activated. And then the cards that are after previous wait for the ones before it. But then there's also add condition where you can be much more specific about lane 1's has to be complete or another lane's card has to be complete, or a separate record, or the parent record, or etc. Or a combination of cards between the lane in the same lane. So it can get much more complex from there. But yeah, just being able to visualize what your process will look like after this is a good way to even demonstrate it and show off like, oh, this is what happens after you press submit on your order guide. These things in this sequence. And if you, I mean, we could have been a lot more specific about the lanes and say laptop requisition, software, and photography. And the third one would just be merch or swag or something like that. Cool.
Very useful.
Yay.
Much easier than rolling your own.
Again, make sure you know how close complete is supposed to happen on your flows. Thanks, everybody.
I think Earl has reached another rite of passage where he's been working on the platform long enough. He's starting to forget things.
What is this? Catalog stuff. Give this to the
newbie.
I didn't want to say it because everyone has to go back to catalog and make stuff eventually.
Yeah, we do. Any announcements, gentlemen?
So we didn't mention, but for those of you that might be tuning in for your first time, we are in the middle of San Diego release content, and so we have had 10 back-to-back weeks of San Diego content. Make sure to go to devlink.sn/San Diego to check out all the San Diego related content. We're continuing with platform stuff this week. On Friday is
Decision Builder.
Next week is what category?
AES
Studio.
AES, that's right.
Engine Studio. Yep.
After that is RPA Hub, and then after that is mobile. So we're getting into the latter half of the content, and we're turning it away. But
we've got this show, Creator Toolbox. We've got live coding happy hour on Fridays or Saturdays if you're in the extreme Eastern Hemisphere. We've got podcasts that come out every week. So tomorrow, March 23rd, we will be having a podcast with Julia Perlis on Decision Tables Decision Builder. And then we'll have another one on RPA Hub in a couple of weeks. So that one comes out every other week. We've got blog entries, typically on Monday, that will focus on a feature or the week's content. And like you say, we've got that master link of devlink.sn/San Diego that will take you to the table of contents. So if you miss something, you can go back and watch it easily or listen to it. You can read about it, or you can mark your calendars coming up. We're going to do something similar when Tokyo comes around in Q3. So this has worked out really well, and I think most people appreciate it. We've also got CreatorCon coming up, so keep your calendars marked for that. 2 locations in the US, 1 in EMEA, and 1 in Australia. So Sydney, Las Vegas, New York, The Hague. We should have one within a few hours flight of you, we hope. So knowledge.servicenow.com is the site you want to go to check that out. Different dates, different people at different sites, not just one monolithic event this time around. Looking forward to seeing people face to face, get some selfies again, learn hands-on, socialize, the way things used to be in the before times. What did I miss?
I think you got it.
I learned my lesson trying to create cute demos with themed stuff instead of just using the out-of-box employee onboarding order guide, which would have been fun.
You made it fun.
We appreciate it.
It's all
We
good stuff.
appreciate it.
All good stuff. All right. With that, I think we should play the music, wave goodbye, and wish everybody a farewell. Stay safe, everyone. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks.